show you today how easy it is to get to the symbolism of the tarot once you know the story of the suit. Yeah? So it's a very simple and very beautiful way to learn it. But I have to have 10 cards in front of me. And this is how I teach it on workshops and things. I say to people, right, we're going to learn 10 cards at once. And they go, what, 10 cards? But that's traditionally how you learnt it. You learnt it through the story. And like I said, I just sort these out into their suits and what's called the major and minor arcana, which I'll have a look at in a moment. It'd be organised for some of the days. So does everyone read the tarot cards themselves?
I dabble with it.
You dabble?
Yeah. But I've dabbled for a long time.
And what do you get from the tarot then in your dabbling, shall we say?
I get mostly impressions of movement from it, and I've only used it, although over a long period of time, occasionally, and so a lot of the understandings I get from it come from understandings of the I Ching and things as well. So it's really general. I'm quite interested in finding out the story behind it.
Well, I mean, the tarot has a very sort of almost like a shrouded history apart from the Romanies. I mean, some people say it was an Italian card game for the medieval period. It may have been used for that at one time. And other researchers say it came from Atlantis or Egypt. Wherever its history has come from, whoever designed the tarot out of these 78 cards knew an awful lot about the human psyche and spirituality. Because every single emotion, every single thing you're going to face in life is in this deck, in a picture. Yeah. So it was a fantastic, like, psychologist, metaphysical person that designed this deck, because you have hate in there, you have love, you have anger, you have poverty. Everything you'd experience in life is embodied in this deck. And when in the medieval period, for example, not all of them had pictures on like this. This is the Ten of Wands, and it's a very graphic picture, for example. In the medieval period, it had just been 10 wands altogether. Do you see what I mean? And you'd have 3 swords or 5 coins. And it wasn't until a mystery school called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn that Arthur Edgar Waite decided, I think I'm going to make the tarot deck a little bit easier. I'm going to put a picture on every single card. And that's what he did. He made it the pictorial tarot deck. And from that card system a couple of 100 years ago, every single tarot deck today is born from that one deck. You see, and instead of tarot getting more and more and more accurate over the years, it's become weaker and weaker and weaker, and it's become weaker and weaker and weaker because a publisher, and I have a publisher, for example, would say, okay, Maria, you want to do a book on the tarot, make it a third different, otherwise it's plagiarism. I just go to the original book and copy it. So people have put their own take onto the tarot. Do you see what I mean? So it has actually got weaker and weaker and weaker. So that's something to bear in mind when you see a modern day interpretation. It didn't come from Arthur Edgar Waite. And Arthur Edgar Waite and that mystery school of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was privy, if you like, to all of the ancient manuscripts. So he took from original source from the ancients to do his deck. So you can see what I've got before me after my shuffling around, and thanks for your patience for that. We've got cards belonging to pentacles, which represents the element of earth. Everything to do with money is all in the pentacles. Your mortgage, your credit cards, everything is wrapped up in pentacles. Swords represents the element of air, for example. Whoa, swords. Well, the sword was made for one thing and one thing alone, wasn't it? To hurt and to maim. Your problems, your conflicts, everything in your worries is embodied in that deck. That's your problems, if you like, yeah. And with our wands, with our fire, that's the lovely element of fire, all your enthusiasm, all of your ideas, everything you really want in life, your hopes, they're embodied in there, yeah. So, and with cups, this represents the kind of mystical side of you, but your romance, your love life, how you are in relationships, how you feel. Yeah, how you feel is embodied through this deck here, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So, for example, if somebody comes to me and I try instantly to get how they feel. Yeah, that's the really important thing. All fives in a tarot deck, if we imagine that from 1 to 10, that's your major arcana. We'll have a look at what that means in a moment. Just imagine in this deck alone, it's 1 to 10 with some court cards. Yeah, 1 to 10. 5 is midway, isn't it, between the 1 and the 10. So 5s always represent problems. Wherever you see a 5, it's a problem. It depends what the problem is by the nature. An emotional problem, conflict with friends and family, creativity is blocked. So a 5 would instantly tell me you're not very happy. Go back to being really simple with a 5. You're not very happy at the moment, are you? There's a block in your life. And they go, how do you know I felt like that? Because it's a 5. 5s represent problems. So we can always go really back to basics with the tarot. What we're going to have a look at now is you have 4 suits. You have the pentacles, you have the cups, you have the swords, you have the wands. That's the minor arcana in the tarot. Yeah. The minor arcana means minor, lesser, arcana, secret, the lesser secret of the human soul. The major arcana has titles to it, like temperance, the high priestess, strength, the sun, the moon. That's the major arcana, the major secret of the soul. Because tarot reflects how you feel and how you think. So what we'll have a look at now, for example, is we're going to have a look at one suit. We're going to journey through love in the tarot. Yeah, all about relationships, all about how we feel about ourselves, the kind of aspirations we want. You have some court cards. I'm just going to sort the court cards out. You have 4 court cards. You always have a king and a queen, a knight and a page. And we'll have a look at those in the moment. Because 1 to 10, out of all of these 4 suits I've just described, the 1 to 10 represents you. Everything about you will come up in these minor arcana cards. Yeah? Your friends and your family and your colleagues, love them or hate them or loathe them or need them, come up in the court cards. These are people in the querent's life, the querent being the person I'm giving the reading for. So they're external influences in the minor arcana. These are about you. This is your story, the reflection of your soul. It's the whole idea of the tarot is like this gigantic mirror, and this mirror reflects how you feel. Yeah? So we can see that all of this is your personal journey through life. And when we get the Ace to 10, you'll see the journey through the tarot, through the eyes of yourself and love. Because water, in any occult system, water always represents the emotions. Yeah. It represents how you feel and how you think. And all of like your dreams as well are wrapped up in your emotions. Let's just put that there. So the easiest way to learn the tarot is 10 cards at once. Never one card, because how modern day books describe the tarot, for instance, is you have a reading at the back, and a fashionable reading at the moment is called the Celtic Cross. Most books will have the Celtic Cross, and then they say to you, put the cards in a certain order, and then you look at what the card means in that position. Well, you'll never, ever, ever learn the tarot card like that, because how can you remember 78 cards like that? And this is what the Romanies did. The Romanies said, do the journey, do the Song of the Tarot, and once you know the journey and you understand the whole picture, rather than one card being the small picture, you will understand the tarot. And then the whole idea is you become the servant to help the others. You're always very humble with the tarot, and that's what we're going to look at in a moment. And how I got to know the story and the Song of the Tarot was my family had a nice country home, and they owned some land, and I had a few little ponies, and some gypsies turned up and parked in the lay-by, and I was about sort of 16 at the time, really inquisitive and very nosy, and I was wanting to know why they had smoke coming out. So I bang on the door after feeding my ponies and say, well, what are you doing here? And they go, get lost, basically. And I did that about sort of 7 times, and then finally a lady, a really robust lady, opened the door and said, what do you want again, sort of thing. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And she said, well, we're parking up here. And I looked at the table, and I can remember seeing James Bond with a priestess doing the death cards. I thought, wow, this is like James Bond. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, I'm looking at the tarot. And she showed me a few cards and said, what do you think? And I said, I want to learn this. And she said, right, I'm going to teach you the song. And she said, once you remember these cards, we'll go through it 3 times, yeah, for my personality, my spirit and my soul. And if I can remember it after the 3rd time, then I would never forget it. And she was so right. Yeah, so this is first of all for you, sort of thing. So we have ace to 10 in our journey through love. Yep. Ace, like in any card game, isn't it? It's high or low. If you're playing pontoon, isn't it? It's high or low. Is it a 1 or is it 11? Yeah? So with the ace is a high card or it can be low card, which we'll have a look at in a moment. But bear that in mind. So in the ace, all aces, no matter what suit they belong to, represents a beginning. It's an ace. It's a start of something. But because the ace is low at the moment, we'll look at its high in a moment, it's low, it means that it hasn't happened yet. It's about to happen in the future. And this is our journey through love. So an ace in somebody's reading would always represent a new emotional chapter's about to begin. Somebody very profound or sexual or emotionally is going to enter the querient's life and change it in some way. So an ace of cups would always represent the beginning of a relationship. Do you see what I mean? But that relationship hasn't manifested yet. So you can say, oh, it's a little bit off in the distance, but this person will have a profound impact on your life. It will change the way you feel and the way that you think. So it could be a friend, it could be a lover. Regardless of that, it's going to have an impact. That's its low aspect. But if you're playing pontoon, it can be the number 11. So embodied in the ace is everything in the 10. Yeah, it embodies that potential of everything. And the 10, we can see, I'll put the 10 around, you can see 2 angelic, man and a woman together. They're holding hands, everything is harmonic, everything is beautiful. This is an angelic relationship, this is soulmates. It is beauty, it is harmony, it's everything that a relationship that we all want. We all want the 10. We all want to meet somebody and it becomes a harmonic soul meeting. It's just human nature. So in the ace, that's the potential. Do you see what I mean? In the ace, it's embodied always in the 10. What can be? Great potential then, isn't it? When an ace appears in somebody's spread. You're going to meet somebody and it's going to really profoundly change you. It could be your soul mate. It could lead to the 10, the harmonic angels, forever loving in heaven. That's the idea behind the ace. But we'll look at it in its low aspects. So the querent is about to meet somebody. They're about to have that meeting with that really profound person. Also represents the very psychic, because ace is a mystical card. So we can say it represents the beginning of a relationship. It hasn't happened. They're very sensitive. And they're about to meet someone to change their life. Now, in the 2, we see a person on a rock in this deck. And we see, for example, Eros, the god of love, about to come to see the woman. Yep, it's the god of love about to see the woman. Can we all see that card? Yep. So in the 2, they didn't meet in the Ace of Cups. The 2 always represents in the deck 2 people coming together. Yeah. So in the 2, it always represents the relationship of the querent. It represents from the 1, they've come together and they finally met in the 2. So when a 2 appears in a spread, the 2 of Cups, for example, it represents a relationship. The querent is in a relationship. It represents union. That could be in business, that could be in love. It represents a union. In all of the decks, imagine 2s coming together. Yeah, 2 forces. This is a man and a woman. They've come together. It represents the relationship. So in the Ace, it hadn't manifested yet. In the 2, it's grounded. Do you see what I mean? It represents that person is in a relationship. And in the 3, when we move on, so they've met in the 2, we see a wedding. Yeah? And in most tarot decks, you see a celebration. You'll see 3 people with cheery glasses going, yay! That's a very famous card. But here, they're getting married. Yep, you see, it's like she's wearing a wedding dress and all the mermaids are cheering, yay, something to celebrate. So in the ace, they hadn't met, a profound relationship was going to happen. In the 2, they've come together. In the 3, the relationship's deepened. Traditionally, that would mean marriage. You see what I mean? So it can also represent the birth of a child, people living together. That person's in a relationship. 1, 2 and 3 is fantastic cards. Not a problem so far. So it represents, whenever those cards come up, especially the 2 and the 3, good relationship. The creator should be feeling reasonably content, reasonably happy, because they're in the first phase of the journey of love. They're in that heady phase, you know, when you meet someone, it's all quite exciting. That's what that represents. So it's fantastic. An ace or 2 or 3, apart from swords, really good cards. But most of us know that you can't have a relationship like that all of your life. You can't be in that heady in love phase, can you? That's not the journey of love. So when we see the 4, for example, 4s represent niggling problems, yeah? She's getting bored, yeah? These people are with each other, and now boredom is creeping in. So a 4 always represents a problem. Problems in the background, dissatisfaction. Oh, I'm not as happy as what I was, and oh, if I only was like the 3 in that heady and love phase. So this means look at your problems. You've got emotional problems in your relationships. You might be feeling bored and dissatisfied, but is that because you're projecting on someone? Do you see what I mean? You've projected too much on the person. These problems can easily be resolved in the 4, yeah? So it represents that that person's probably in a relationship and it's going downhill a little bit because they've come out the phase of the 3. So I said earlier, 5s represent problems. They haven't resolved the problem in the 4. It's got a little bit deeper now, and whenever you see a 5 in any sword, it's got a very dark background, yeah? And someone's running away from the relationship. 4 cups are spilt. All the water representing emotion, they've been spilt now. Emotions are flowing out everywhere. They have not resolved their problems, and now they have deep emotional problems in the relationship that they're going to have to look at. And if they don't, they will never be happy because they haven't addressed anything. So we can see so far that in the ace they hadn't met, in the 2 they've come together, in the 3 the relationship got deeper, they got married, they might have had children, they're celebrating, they're feeling good about the relationship. In the 4, niggling problems in the background, things aren't so easy now, and in the 5, critical zone. You've got to address those problems. You cannot bury your head in the sand any longer. It's a critical point, the 5. So it's a really important card. So say for example that I'm doing a reading and the 5 of cups is there, I can instantly say about that person, you're not feeling good about yourself or your life at the moment, are you? You've got problems going on in the background, and they're, yeah, that's how I feel. And when we're in the space of the 5, for example, and you've got relationship problems and you know that you have to face something, maybe your self-confidence is low, maybe you're not feeling very good about yourself, all of those energies are embodied in the 5, so it's not an easy card, it's not an easy space to be in. So really they should have addressed it in the 4. Now do you see how it's unfolding in the story? Yeah? It's quite easy, isn't it? Once you have...
Come on,
that's what I was just thinking. Yes. The 5. Manifesting from the kingdom.
Sorry.
Not a problem. I got it. Yeah. Wow. So we can see how the story's unfolding, can't we? Well, in the 6, yeah? Yeah, look at the 6. Hopefully the dogs will hear this one. Yeah. So in the 6, we see a woman, she's all alone. She's looking down on herself. She's on her own, yeah? All 6s will portray that, or they have little children talking on a 6, but she's on her own now, yeah? And what's happened now in the 6 is, you know, when we've probably all been in that space where you think, oh, if only life was like the 3. And you're constantly looking back in life. If only it was like when I first met him. Oh, and you're looking back to the past all of the time. The past, the past, the past. So if the 6 turns up, that person's looking back to the past. They're not living in the here and now. They've got so many issues going on emotionally. Live in the here and now, sort it out. So you're living in the past. It's about being very nostalgic. It also represents, because it embodies the past, someone from the past in the Aquarian's life is going to manifest again in their life. But in essence, it represents the past and how you once felt about your life and your relationship. So it's a card we have to encourage someone to literally live in the here and now. So not necessarily an easy card, or someone from the past will come back. Now we're going to look at the 7. The 7 represents a goddess, is like looking to all of the cups in the air, and she's saying to the person that's praying like this, there's a person praying, please great goddess, do something for me, do something for me in my life. I feel alone. That's what she's saying. Here I am. I'm alone. So what the 7 brings, the 7 is a card of wonders in the 7 of Cups, because all those cups in the air that the great goddess is pointing up to represents all your dreams, all your visions, anything that you want. The goddess is saying, well, have it. You've been through a lot now. You've been through all that 5, all that 4. You're feeling on your own. Well, what is it you want in life? Those cups represent it. Do you want a relationship? Do you want to be successful in work? What is it and who are you and what do you want to do with your life? Yeah, that's what it's saying in the 7. So it's a card of the gift. It's the gift of the goddess. And if you can ground that energy, yeah, and ground what it is you want to be and who you want to become, the goddess is granting you rite of passage in this material plane. So it's a wonderful card of great potential. So when I see the 7, I go, wow, you've got a lot of opportunity coming your way. But the key is you have to ground that which you want, yeah? So there's great potential in the 7 because the Aquarians been through so much in their journey of love. There's one lesson left in the 8 of Cups, and it's one of the most difficult lessons in our journey of love. And in the 8, we see somebody, a pitch black atmosphere. And she's alone now. And she has to walk down into the depths of darkness in her journey of love. So it's a very difficult card. Can you see? She's black. And she's only got a pale waning moon to guide her upon her journey. So it's a very difficult space. And the 8s bring the culmination of the 5. Well, you didn't listen to yourself in the 5 and you had warnings in the 4 and you did nothing about your relationship. You did nothing. So now you might have to leave. You might have to leave that relationship behind and walk down on your own for yourself and by yourself and leave that relationship or those emotional problems behind, because if you don't, it's going to fester and turn an ever decreasing cycle. So the 8 is such a challenge because it represents the end of something. Yeah, it represents the Aquarians feeling depressed, sad. They're in darkness. They can't see their life before them. So even if they have this, oh well, my relationship's not that bad, you can say, well, you're feeling so depressed about life. You're in the dark. What is it you have to go through? You're going to have to leave something behind. Is it your job? Is it your relationship? Is it an attitude that you've had? You have to now face something within your own spiritual self and say, I have to leave that behind to live life to the full. So the 8 is the most difficult card in our journey of love so far. It represents leaving something behind, an attitude, a person, a family, a job, a house. Something you've embodied a lot in is not working for you. When the 8 appears, there's something in your life, it's not working. You can hold on to that. You can hold on to that space of the 8, but it will never ever turn into anything else. Those feelings will come round again. Do you see what I mean? The universe will say to you, look at that issue, look at that issue, look at that issue. So it's really difficult. Not an easy card. So thankfully, in the 9, we see a man and a god, and the great goddess that granted you all of those wishes in the 7 is saying, yay, this is a really good relationship. Things are going really, really well for the Aquarian in their life, their work, their family, They're with their friends. This is a feel-good factor card. It represents emotional contentment. They've been through the 8. Their journey was to find out what it was that really hurt them and what was blocking them. And the Holy Grail, if you like, at the end of that, because we're talking about cups here, so the Holy Grail at the end of that is you'll feel content in life. You're probably going to live to be quite old because you're feeling content and happy and you're living a harmonic life. So a wonderful card is wrapped up in the 9. And in the 10, wow, they're both gods now. They've transcended the material plane with eternal love, and they're going to be together for a long, long time. It was our high card with our ace, wasn't it? That represents a really good relationship. You found your soulmate. You are really happy and content. Work is going to be going well. Your love life is going to be well. Boy, we all want to be the 10. That's a good space to be in. So that's our journey from ace to 10. Do you see what I mean with the story and the story of love? And how easy is that? Isn't it? It's really, really easy. So really, once you learn 10 cards all at once, yeah, you then start to understand the tarot. But if you do it the way the books tell you, put one card here, one card there, one card here, one card there, you'll never know it because you don't know the story. And we've all been through all of these cards, haven't we? So when I sort of see an 8 of cups come up in someone's reading, they're not feeling very happy. I remember what it was like to be the 8. I remember when I had to let go of a job once. It was forced upon me through redundancy. I know what it's like to give up something. I know how vulnerable I felt at that time. I know what it's like to be in the 4 when I should have looked at problems in my life and I didn't bother. They're not there. I'll push them under the carpet. They go away, hopefully, but they don't. They go into the 5. I also know what it's like to feel content in life with the 9. Still waiting for the 10, but waiting for the 9. So it's a really wonderful story, isn't it? So all of the decks, and we'll go through another one in a moment after we've met people. People are wonderful things in the tarot, yeah? You have good people, you have bad people, you have clever people, you have daft people. So you have everyone you're going to meet in life, you're going to meet through these 4 cards here. So when we go to do our next deck, because we'll have time to do one more suit, we're going to have a look at money in the Aquarian's life, yeah? So that is our ace to 10. So we'll quickly look at some of the court cards. Go to any tarot book, yeah? And when it comes to the court cards, you'll get more of a description of how the artist drew the card than you ever will of the description of the card. Yeah, you're nodding away.
I'm thinking about the book itself.
Yeah.
I've been ripping my hair out over that, and it's just,
yeah.
This is just so beautiful and simple. It makes such sense.
Yeah. And once you relate it to yourself and how you've gone through life, you can help somebody. And this is the whole idea. You learn the tarot like this, and this is the first one. This is for you. Then you go a little bit deeper for the soul and the spirit. Do you see what I mean? It's a threefold journey. So yeah, exactly. You get more description about what the card is pretty like than you do its meaning, because the Romanies and the people kept it simple. These represent people, yeah? The knight and the page always represent people younger than the Aquarians. So they would be people younger than me in my life. That could be colleagues at work, that could be my niece, my nephews. Do you see what I mean? It's always people younger than myself in my life field. The king and the queen, on the other hand, represent people older than myself, yeah? And they represent people, they're a king, they're a queen. They represent people of authority in my life. So that could be my mum, my dad, my boss. Do you see what I mean? Wherever you have a king and a queen, that represents someone has authority over me in some way. So they always represent people that are older. And because we're dealing with love and the emotions, these are sensitive people. Highly sensitive people. We'll take a look at the Knight of Cups. I'm going to compare this young chap to two other chaps in the tarot deck, because here we see the Knight of Cups. This is all about love. This is the man on the beautiful white horse, you know, that will offer you an engagement, and he's very romantic, he's very caring, he's a really, really great person, not that grounded, but he's a really nice person. He's your poet, he's going to be your philosopher, he's going to be someone that's going to inspire you in some way, but not necessarily very grounded, yeah? But he is a very, really good chap. So in somebody's life, that could be somebody younger than me, that's going to be very supportive for me, they're very sensitive, they're very caring about me. So this person's in my field, they really want to help me. Whereas, I'm going to show you the page of Pentacles. Pentacles has to do with money. Yeah, just to think of that for a moment. On a very basic level, it represents money. We saw this romantic person on his beautiful white horse. This is your knight in shining armour, so to speak, for a young woman that's just about to meet to somebody. That's a good card. She's going to meet someone, and he's going to be very romantic. On the other hand, say it's a young woman's spread, and the Knight of Pentacles appears in her spread. Well, look at him. He's on a cart horse, yeah? He's not your shiny, romantic, heady lover. He's your steadfast worker. He's going to support you. He's going to help you achieve what it is you want. He'll pay the bills. He'll get the mortgage on time. He is very, very grounded. He comes through the element of earth. So a young person's reading, if he appears, he's going to hang around. He's steadfast, yeah? He will be there for you. I think you might marry twice if that comes up. Now that's the romantic chap. He's not going to be hanging around that long. So you can start to see how you can work marriages and things into a life reading. Do you see what I mean? They appear. Yeah, you know that he's not going to hang around in a very diplomatic way. Put that across. Otherwise, you're not going to get many people back if you're very strong about what you say. So they're kind of all sensitive people. Whenever the cups appear in the Aquarian spread, they're sensitive, supportive people. They're going to have good people at work. They're going to have good people in their family life. They're going to have a good influence with their background. No problems, no abuse, nothing in their childhood. This represents harmony. Do you see what I mean? It represents harmony for the Aquarian. Very good people. So, as our kind of last journey through the tarot, we're going to have a look at the Pentacles, yeah? And we're going to see how easy it is to work out whether you've got cash flow, you've got a house, what you want, who you are, and if you've got any problems coming up with money in the future. So it's a very good suit to learn an awful lot about the Aquarian's way of life, how they deal with money, how they think about it, and we're going to use the very traditional words that are a bit stark, because we're going right the way back to how Romany saw it, and they didn't mince their words, which is really good because they didn't waffle. That said, and we'll have a look at this suit. Would help if I get them in order. So, Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles represents money. Yeah, it represents everything that's grounded in your life. Your finances, your job, your whole financial world and kingdom is wrapped up from Ace to 10. Ace is high or low, isn't it? And in all cards, you normally just have in the Rider-Waite deck, in all decks, a hand coming out holding one coin up. Yep, it's the Ace of Pentacles. So we're going to go through its low first of all, because Ace is high, Ace is low. Yeah. And the Ace of Pentacles always represents, hasn't happened yet, it hasn't manifested, it's an ace, an opportunity to have a new job, or an opportunity to earn a little bit more money. There's a great opportunity coming ahead in the Aquarian's work experience. So you know that could lead to something really good, because it could lead to a 10. Do you see what I mean? And a 10, we will see here, is a happy family. They have all the fruits of the earth around them. They've got the kid in front of them, and they are happy bunnies. Everything is happy in the 10s. 10s are successful cards. We saw that in the 10 of Cups. So that's a really good card. So Ace is low here, and we're going to say you've got a great potential coming up at work. Work is going to change in some way for you, and there's going to be an opportunity, and that opportunity is probably going to come right out of the blue. You know, when you least expect it, it's going to come there. You've got the chance to earn a bit more. You've got the chance to go up the ladder. You've got the chance of recognition. You've got the chance of being successful here. So it has all of that great potential. It's a really, really good card. And the twos, we see a worker here. He's holding up two tools like this. He's a worker, and he's basically saying in the two, well, if you took the potential in the ace and you work a little bit hard, then you will be successful at whatever it is you want to do. A bit like the twos coming together. This is coming together of work and your life. So it's a union. You're going to work well with the two. The three we saw was the card of success, wasn't it? Remember the three, and they're all cheering? Same in the Three of Pentacles. That means you're going to have some kind of success at work. Money will come in probably small amounts, but you're going to be successful at work. It could lead on to much, much greater success. Ones, two, and threes, always good. Yeah, we saw that. So this represents you're going to be quite successful at work. So they're good. The ace, you're going to have a job opportunity. Hasn't happened yet. Two, you're at work, and if you work well, you're going to be successful. In the three, you have much success in the future if you continue to work hard. Fours. Starting to hit a problem now, aren't we? Because a four is always representing a problem, and this card sums it up. It's, before I show the card around, it's someone hugging their money. They don't want to let go of their money. So we'll have a look at that. It always represents, in every single tarot deck you see, somebody's holding on to their money. They don't want to let go of it at all. They are literally holding on to it. And in the Four of Pentacles, it always represents the card of the miser, the card of the materialistic person. This person in the Four of Pentacles doesn't think about anything else. I would look at you and think, what's your car like? What's your house like? Do you see what I mean? That's the Four of Pentacles. They don't care about anything else. Everything is wrapped up in their value, and they're holding on to their money, and they will view you through how the possessions that you have. But you can't remain like that. The universe isn't going to let you grow if you're in that space. So the Four would bring a monetary problem. Okay, so you're holding on to your money. A bill's going to come out of nowhere. Just when you thought money was safe for you, the universe is going to teach you a lesson in the Four. Do you see what I mean? Because it's going to bring a problem. We know it's going to lead to a Five. So we know if they don't address their materialistic issues and find everything of their worth wrapped up in the material kingdom, well, the card of the Five of Pentacles is always a beggar. He's in the dark, dark night. He's wearing a shabby coat. Oh, he's really down on his luck. And in the Rider-Waite, the traditional pictorial deck, you'll see the beggar begging for money. Please give me some money. He hasn't addressed the issues in the Four. The Five brings serious monetary problems. You must get your financial house in order. You've probably got a credit card spiraling out of control. You must look to your finances, otherwise you could lose everything. You could lose your house, your job. You seriously need to get your financial house in order, because it's a Five. It represents that critical time. So you really must address any issues, and you address them now. It's very, very important. It's even more so in this economic climate, because we're living the Five of Pentacles. A lot of people at this moment in time, it's a critical thing. When you look at the wider picture, this is what a lot of the West is in. They're in the Five of Pentacles because they haven't learnt the lesson of the Four. Yeah, so it's quite interesting if you project the tarot on a much wider picture. But in the Six, what we see here is someone's begging now. They go to the king, and the king has lots of money before him, and the person is saying, please, king, give me some money. You know, I'm down on my luck with a Five. I've got nothing really. I don't have that much. And the king's saying, yep, if you've learned the lesson of the Five, you've got some money. So if that turns up in somebody's spread, you bet your bottom dollar they're going to get some job promotion come up, some way of earning extra money, or someone could give them. It could be a legacy, it could be some kind of will, it could be your partner. You meet somebody that somehow gives you more material goods to play with. So the 6 is a really, really good card. Yeah, it's a really good card. He's gone through the 5, sorted out a problem, begged for money, and now he's got some money. And in the 7, we see someone going, like this, what do I do now? Not quite sure about what I do. So he's umming and ahhing like this, and that's portrayed in all traditional tarot decks. Someone has to think about something now, yeah? They've been through the 5, they've lost quite a bit. They've been through poverty, is traditionally called the 5. Card of the Miser 4, Poverty 5. In the 6, a handout. And in the 7, you've really got to look at work. You've got to make a big decision coming up about your life and your financial world of being, because some big decision needs to be looked at, and you should think about it very carefully. And that's what is portrayed in that card. I've got to think about all of my monetary issues. So it's a bit of a warning in the 7. And we've got just a couple of cards to go. And in the 8 is a wonderful card in this deck. You see somebody working really hard. He's really a good worker. He's working hard, and he's chipping away and making money, making pentacles. And in the 8 of Pentacles, that's exactly what it means. It's the card of the worker, the card of the apprentice. That shows up in your spread, I would say to you, you're going to be very successful in the future. It's going to take a time span, because the Romany's called this the card of the apprentice. So you know, apprentice works for something, don't they? And 3 or 4 years down the line, they get what it is that they wanted because they've worked so hard at it. That's in the 8. And the 9 and the 10, just like the 9 and the 10 of Cups, represents, yay, financial contentment. In the 9, look, he's a really fat, happy, stout chap with a stash load of money in front of him. That's pretty good space to be in. I like the 9 Cups and the 9 of Pentacles. He's really content. The fruits of the earth. He lives in abundance. He's made manifest his abundance. And in the 10, you can't get better than a 10. The Ace has given you all the abundance of the 10. You have a very happy family life. Your work's probably going exceptionally well. You feel very confident about yourself. Everything is going smoothly in your life. You probably project yourself, maybe a little bit arrogant from time to time. You certainly earned that rite of passage because you've worked very hard to get there. So in the Ace, we saw the potential. The potential is always the 10. Something is going to come to you in the workplace where you can earn the finances. In the 2, it's going to come together and it's going to start to blossom for the 3. The 3 always represents success in the workplace and in your family life. The 4, niggling problems of the miser. Don't hold on to things for too long, because if the more that you hold on, the more the universe will say to you, lessons are to be learnt. You're the card of the miser. In the 5, we saw that critical point. It's a 5. It represents the time of addressing your financial order in your bank accounts, in your mortgage, because that is the card of the poverty. In the 6, it's the card of a handout. You're going to be given some money to lift yourself back up of the hard times that you've had. In the 7, think about your working decision. In the 8, work hard, and my God, you're going to be successful at whatever it is you do. And the 9 and the 10, contentment and financial happiness and family happiness. So 20 cards, 24 cards in a short space of time. And we can see, once we learn it like that and you have the song a few times, how easy is the tarot. Tarot's wrapped up with mysticism, symbolism, but the core meaning of each tarot card is so simple. And from that one key word, that's all I ask students to do, give me one key word, and from that one key word you can string the sentences together like you see in the books. So really, I would say to most people, just learn the tarot the most simplest of ways, and before you know it, you will become adept and you will be able to see things in the card you never would. And if you can always get to how somebody feels within 10 seconds of them being in your home, you tell somebody how they feel. 8 of Cups, you already know they're going to feel pretty crappy, aren't they? 5 of Pentacles, work's going crap. And that sort of thing, you tell somebody that within the first 10 seconds, wow, they have faith in you. Do you see what I mean? And then you really get to help them. What is it in the 5 in your life? Yeah? What is that? What's caused that? Where's your journey from? And then you can really get to the life and then the future with the person as well. So we're coming up to an hour, so I thought we'll ask questions. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask about our brief journey and insight into the tarot.
So if we look at the elements, so this is water, cups is pentacles, earth, that's going to be earth, and so wands,
Fire.
wands is fire. So page of wands, if somebody came up in the, because I had an astrological spread in the 8th house, is that somebody like coming into my life that's going to offer me inspiration?
Oh, absolutely. The page of wands is very, very inspirational. It's going to be probably someone very spiritual and very knowledgeable that will come into your life. He's probably going to be slightly dark or
Can you show me the
dark-skinned.
card, Maria? Because
Yeah, sure.
I think it was about this time last year, and I think it was the wands, not the pentacles. Because if it was the pentacles, then that would be somebody very materialistic, wouldn't it?
Pentacles, yeah, that's...
And what does the page of pentacles look like?
The page of pentacles...
I think it was the pentacles, I don't think it was the wands.
Well, the page of pentacles is very different. He would be very grounded. He would be very kind of like serious, steadfast, reliable, very secure.
It was the page, not the knight, though, so...
Page. Yeah. Well, the page, he will get what he wants eventually. He's very thoughtful, he's very caring, he's stood on a very fertile ground. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Everything is growing. The page of pentacles, if he works hard, he's going to be very successful. He brings success to you as well. He's going to help you manifest your own success as well. It's a two-way thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then my card that symbolised me was 8 of Swords, which is a bit heavy, isn't it?
The 8 of Swords. I'm going to show you the 8 of Swords.
It was like I didn't know what was going on.
There it is. Right. Thank you, universe. The 8 of Swords. We'll have a look at the 8 of
It
Swords.
was a bit heavy. I've got to come out of it now.
It's a bit heavy. The 8 of Swords in this deck has a woman, or a chap, and he's going, oh no, and the fates are going shh by him. He's blocked by all of his swords. He's got nowhere to go. Yeah. All of those swords represent problems and obstacles in life. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they symbolise. Yeah. They symbolise obstacles. Yeah.
It was a woman blindfolded on the card that I looked at.
In Ride Away, what happens is they're blindfolded like this. She's got her hands tied behind her
And
back.
there's one
like
path
that.
out.
And there's one path out.
Yeah.
But look carefully at the card. There, all he has to do is move one sword out of the way, take the biggest problem and step back, or hold the sword, and he's liberated. So in the 8, it represents delays, setbacks, obstacles, but there's one big obstacle that you should look at, one element of yourself that needs to be really addressed to be successful, because otherwise sometimes, I would imagine, without sounding too harsh, that sometimes you are your own worst enemy.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. And that's what the 8 represents, being your own worst enemy.
We're all capable of anything, but we
we
obstruct ourselves with ourselves, don't we?
But your way to empowerment, you see, is to have a look at something that's holding you back and literally like pull that sword, that problem out of the ground and arm yourself. Yeah,
And it does seem to be through kind of intuition and fear of the putting away the fear of the unknown and just having faith. That's what that card meant to me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's saying, believe in yourself, go for the problems, become empowered. This is your road to empowerment. And the only thing that in the Ride Away, when you were tied up, that it was loosely bound. Look at that card again. You're loosely bound. The blindfold where you can't see your problems before you are loosely bound. You could just shimmy out of that and it would all drop, and then you could get your path ahead. So there's great potential in the 8 because you'll learn so much if you just release and get that sword, that problem. So I think that's a good road, and then your path will be clear. You will see clearly. You won't be bound by your problems. You'll have liberty and freedom of thought and clarity. So it looks a miserable card.
At first it does, but I had to really get my head around it. So,
It's a difficult card.
Nicely.
Swords bring problems. A lot of problems that we have to face.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Could you perhaps try to explain the difference between spirit and soul?
Spirit and soul, well, in the terms of the tarot,
Yeah.
it's about looking at the different levels of the tarot. So this is the outside world, the 3D world that we live in, Tarot meant the royal road. So when you look at it on a soul level, you'll start to look about, your past lives on that type of soul level through the tarot interpretation of the tarot, and the spirit is your gifts that have the spirit world has brought you through the cards that you choose. So it's a kind of on a level with the tarot. It kind of gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, because the mystery schools, when you get very deep with the tarot, they changed everything around to make it quite secret. But once you crack the secret code, it's quite easy to interpret. So it's basically going deeper in the tarot, having a look at you, your past lives, where you came from on the soul level, and then what's called the fairy
So the
gifts.
soul is the continuous sort of thing that we carry all the way, and the spirit is what's imbued in us in this particular life.
Well, the spirit in the tarot, it represents everything that you could be given.
Yeah.
Yeah, your fey gifts, your fairy
Yeah,
gifts of
okay,
life.
yeah.
That's how it's seen with the road of the tarot.
Right, no, that's good, thank you.
You're welcome.
You looking? Okay. I was thinking of asking a question, but I wasn't actually. There's a woman who was saying that the soul is like a program, and then the spirit is what you are. So maybe just swapping around the titles of soul and spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the great thing about when you get into the deep level of the tarot of the soul, it represents your previous incarnation, so it does get very, very deep. And so I would definitely agree with that. And that's the other level of the tarot, you see. At the moment, we've looked at it in your 3D world that you live in, and the minor arcana is all about you. That's the thing about this. It's about you and what you've experienced in life.
So the soul may be the journey that your spirit is taking, like a journey that it's taking. Yeah.
That's tarot, the royal road. So the royal road in the mystery schools with the tarot was getting to grips with your past. The whole idea is, say for example, we had 8 of Swords as our past. Then you let that go, and they let that go through ritual, and you don't need to do that today. But that's how they would let go. So they'd look at your soul and you'd release. It's the royal road to freedom, the tarot. So you'd look at your problems of your past life and your assets of your past life, and you'd use that in this incarnation to get off the wheel of life. That's the deepness behind that level of the tarot. Yeah.
And I suppose back then, you see, we didn't have luxury of personality, so the rituals were kind of representing like kind of parts of ourselves. Whereas now we're all quite complex individuals, aren't we? Whereas it was probably a bit more mundane then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's getting more complex and more complex, isn't it? Life, definitely.
When you say about the spreads, you mentioned the Celtic cross being a popular one. What spreads do you like, or do you think it's? What would you recommend?
Well, for a starter, I would say you have 10 cards in the Celtic cross. It's in all books. It's like the New Age has fashion, and that's a fashion accessory in tarot at the moment. Now you've got 10 cards. Now if you use a more traditional spread that isn't published anymore, but I think I've got that one up on my website, it's called the horseshoe. And of course with Gypsy, the horseshoe represented good luck, it represents the feminine aspect of the new moon, and it has all of that kind of symbolism in it. It uses 7 cards that have a really simple meaning, past, present, future, hey, what you should be doing in that card there, how other people see you, because we're complex people. I could be seemingly quite confident here, but if you gave me a reading, I might not be that person. And then you have hopes and fears in that spread. You always have that in tarot, and a negative card is your fears, and a positive card is your hopes. So that's wrapped up an awful lot, and you always have outcome. And I would always recommend the horseshoe spread for beginners, because it has every single thing of the Celtic cross without the complexity of the Celtic cross. And a great thing to do when you get a tarot deck and you've got some friends round is for women, get all the queen cards, and show them quickly. This is a right brain thing, so you don't want them to analyse themselves too much. Just get the 4 queen cards and say quickly, without thinking too much, pick a card. So they might pick the Queen of Wands. So if that picks the Queen of Wands, that would represent that I have been really hurt in my past. I'm frightened to love again. I'm really complex with the Queen, for example, of Swords. And so that would say something. If I'd picked the Queen of Cups, I'm sensitive, I'm imaginative, I'm quite poetic, I'm quite philosophical. So what the gypsies used to do, they used to, for the first entrance when you came in for a reading, pick a card quickly, not to think about it, because you analyse, you start looking at the Queen of Swords, wow, she's got issues. Yeah? You think, oh, I wouldn't want to be her. Quickly pick it up and see which one it is, and then they call that the significator. That's the big significance in your life, and they lay all the other cards on top of that one. And obviously with the guys, you pick the king cards, and you get something. Are they materialistic? Are they, heady? Are they this? Are they that? Will they double cross you, as in the swords? Knight of Swords is probably going to double cross you. So what sort of person is this? And it just gives you that extra bit of depth, and it's always called traditionally the significator. So yeah, so I would say have fun with the tarot. Do you see what I mean? And then, even when I learned this all when I was about 16, many years ago. So whoever I met, I try and think, well, who is he in the tarot deck? Is he the Knight of Wands? Is he going to hang around? Is he this? Is he that? And I'd have a lot of fun with it as well. And just before we wrap up, the death card. Well, when I was really young, watching my James Bond, before I went to see dear Rosie, who taught me all of this, it was like, wow, isn't it? Well, the death card. There are death cards in this deck, but it's not that one. For sure, that represents regeneration. Read something out of your life, get rid of the old, bring in the new. The real death cards in this are in swords, because swords would kill, won't it? It will wound you very, very deeply. And they're always the 5 of swords reversed and the 4 of swords. And if you have a look at the traditional tarot deck of the Rider-Waite, as it's the most well-sold deck on the planet, a fantastic deck to start with. Have a look at the 4 of Swords.
What was that name again?
Rider-Waite.
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 Is it hyphenated?
I'm not sure. I've got the deck on me.
And then it's W-A-I-T-E, is it?
If you have a look at that, it should say on there. That's your traditional deck, Rider-Waite.
Yeah, Waite is spelled with W-A-I-T-E.
Yeah.
What set is this that you're using here?
This is called the Mythic Tarot. It
And I
was,
think it is Rider with a what anyway, sorry.
yeah, it's R-I-D-E-R and Waite with an E on the end. And Rider-Waite. You see, that was the first pictorial deck ever. From this deck, every single other tarot deck came. That's your most traditional symbolism from the mystery schools. And they make it very, very clear. And this is a little bit more, because I like astrology and Liz Green was an astrologer, that was by. But I'll just show you what I mean about. That's the 2 of Swords, for example, blindfolded. See, they're blindfolded, they don't know their problems. Swords represents problems. She's got 2 swords holding problems in front of her, and she can't see them. That's really difficult to try and communicate to somebody your problems.
So is that the deck you would buy if you're a beginner?
I always recommend the Rider-Waite to all beginnings, because the 2 of Cups, remember our union card, man and woman holding a cup together, yeah, very, very clear with Rider-Waite. And when it comes to his background, a bad card is literally black. So he developed this out of all the medieval grimoires, and it's a very, very easy deck. When you see the card of, the 10 of Swords, we're not going to go there, but lots of problems.
That's another point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not only the spreads and everything that are not learning to do it in 10. I think that's really brilliant what you've just done there. That was really helpful, because I did notice when I tried to sum up what I thought about the tarot that I hadn't learned anything, and that's probably why. But the images on some of the packs that I've seen and nothing like as clear as the ones that you're showing. They're really obfuscatory, in fact.
Because you see, at the moment, there's the most of the tarot companies are Hay House and Llewellyn, and they're into art. They're not into getting the real symbolism of the tarot. They're into art because people collect tarot. And it's become quite a collectible thing, so they want artwork. They don't want the in-depth story of the tarot anymore. That's long gone with Hay House anyway. And if we look at the Five of Pentacles, remember that our card of poverty? You see right away there's a snowstorm, he's bandaged, he's a beggar. So that's how clear the Rider-Waite deck is. I'd strongly recommend that.
If a card's reversed, does that mean it's the opposite meaning, or it means the meaning is intensified?
It really does depend. If it's swords, then that is like full on. That's really heavy. And the cups, it just means the reverse of normally of that card. So the Four of Cups would be you can easily get over a problem. Five reverse, you could easily get over a problem, for example, and the same with the cups, but these two suits behave a little bit differently. But again, once you do all 10, it's very easy to see how they flow in their story.
These aren't as fixed then, cups and pentacles aren't as fixed, aren't as embedded. They can be unravelled kind of in the here and now. And whereas this stuff, swords might be to do with real deep past stuff, in past lives and things, you know, and then what's the other one? Wands.
Wands.
So, and you're kind of splitting them into, there's a duality thing going on here. You're polarising them a little bit, are you, would you say, Maria? So swords and wands, there's a little bit more.
Again, if you're doing it on a kind of level of just looking at somebody's life, without any big in-depth, swords are always the problems in people's life, but they can always be healed, but they are quite difficult, and wands will bring complexities too. They will bring some kind of problem. Some of the cards, but they have their own story, and that has their own story as well. But which we obviously don't have time for.
Just a really shallow question compared to Phoebe's. If you get an ace and that's reversed, then that means nothing from the start. Is that what that means? Because that's the potential, isn't it? So if it's reversed, does that mean there isn't potential?
No, the Ace of Cups reversed is quite weak. So
there is potential.
There is potential, but it's a little bit further back.
Right, okay.
Got to wait a little while for that to manifest. Whatever happens, it will be slowed down a little bit.
So it would go through the suits, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a potential, but a weakened potential.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, once you have all of the 10 cards in reverse, it becomes quite easier than looking at the one card, which is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, well I hope that's another question, sorry.
How much do you put into the emphasis on reading making a reading? How much emphasis do you put on your own intuitive feelings?
Yeah, this is John.
That's paramount. I mean, if you can get to symbolism and then use your own intuition, what you find with the tarot anyway is you'll start off with the symbolism. That's always good, to have the symbolism of the cards. And then your intuition will grow and grow and grow and grow, and sometimes you might see a door, you might see a house, and just go for it. And that's what I say to tarot students of mine: go for it. You're either going to be right or you're wrong, and that's no big deal if you're wrong. It's a learning curve. But if you start to have faith in that which you see, it will give you insight into the tarot. The tarot is like a tool which can open you up psychically if you're humble and if you're the servant of the tarot. Never with arrogance, or if you want to get information. I learnt that as a teenager.
Information gathering.
Yeah, learned that one. Yeah.
I've got the original Italian pack as well.
Wow.
100 years old.
Wow. Wow, fantastic.
Well, that's really brilliant, Maria. Thanks very
Okay,
much.
thanks a lot.
I think we've probably got about 15 minutes to grab ourselves some tea or a comfort break or whatever it is, and then Gary Evans is going to be in here.